You know that feeling, a kind of tiredness that sleep just doesn't fix? It's got nothing to do with a late night or a tough week. No, this is something way deeper. It's this quiet, heavy exhaustion with the whole act of living itself. So today, let's get into this very real, very human experience, the psychology of just being tired of existing.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's a feeling that can make you feel so incredibly alone. It's when just waking up and going through the motions of another day feels, I don't know, repetitive and just profoundly heavy. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, I really want you to hear this. You are absolutely not the only one feeling this way.
So there's actually a name for this. Psychologists often call it existential fatigue or existential exhaustion. And what's so important to grasp here is the distinction it makes. This isn't a weariness that comes from your to-do list. It comes from consciousness itself. It's the psychological weight of just maintaining a life. And that weight can start to feel heavier than the life you're actually living. To get even clearer, let's break down how this is different from other things that might seem similar on the surface. For instance, it's not burnout. That's usually tied to a specific thing, like your job. And it's definitely not laziness. And while it can feel a lot like depression, and sometimes they overlap, existential fatigue is really specifically about the strain of being conscious and trying to find meaning in the day-to-day grind of it all. This right here is such a powerful way to describe how this feels from the inside. Just imagine being shoved out onto a stage to play a part you never ever chose. You're going through the motions, right? You smile, you show up for work, you answer the texts, but deep down, you feel completely disconnected from your own life. It is an absolutely exhausting performance. So what does this do to you? Well, it can lead to this profound sense of disconnection where you feel more like an observer of your own life than a participant. All of a sudden, simple tasks, things like taking a shower or making a meal, can feel like climbing Mount Everest. You're carrying this invisible weight, this feeling of meaninglessness, and it can take a huge toll on your mental health and your relationships. Okay, I really want to pause here for a second because this is probably the single most important thing to understand. Feeling this way is not a personal failure. It is not a sign that you are weak. What it is a completely human response. It's a signal. It's your mind and your body telling you that you've been carrying way too much stress, too much disillusionment, too much repetition for way too long. And when we start to reframe it like that, we can move away from shame and toward a place that's so much more helpful, empathy for ourselves. All right, so if we accept that this is a real, legitimate, psychological state, the obvious next question is what in the world do we do about it? How can we get some relief when the very act of existing is the thing that feels so draining? Let's walk through some gentle strategies that can actually help. So here are 5 gentle strategies. First up, giving yourself permission to genuinely rest without feeling guilty about it. Second, focusing on tiny restorative actions. I'm talking about anything that makes the present moment feel just a little bit lighter. Third, thinking about professional support. Therapy that focuses on meaning can be a game changer. Fourth, setting boundaries. It's about protecting your energy. And finally, finding compassionate connection. People who don't need you to perform, who can just sit with you. Now, it's so important to be real about this. This feeling doesn't just disappear overnight, but the weight can lift. With time and support and real rest, meaning can start to come back. Your energy can be rebuilt. It happens slowly, not all at once, but just enough to keep you going. And that right there, that is progress worth celebrating. So it's really important to honor the small steps. Just having enough energy to breathe a little deeper, or having enough resolve to just try one more day, that is a huge victory. That is what real progress looks like. If you take just one thing away from our chat today, please let it be this. Getting through a day when existing feels impossible is not failure. It is an incredible, incredible act of strength. It's proof of your resilience. So, I want to leave you with this question, just to think about. When that weight starts to feel a little lighter, what are the small things that help you rediscover the difference between simply existing and truly feeling alive?